Hello everyone, I'm Lisa. If you're new here, I'm a colour pencil artist and a mum, and on this channel I love to share my passion for nature and the calming, therapeutic process of working with colour pencils. Today I'm excited to walk you through how I completed this raccoon piece, from layering the fur to capturing those expressive eyes. If you'd like the full step-by-step tutorial, it's available over on my Patreon, where you'll find over 40 tutorials, a new one added every month. You can also check out my website to see a full list of available tutorials. Let's dive in and see how this little raccoon came to life. So the first thing we're going to do is focus on this right hand eye. So using a really sharp black pencil or even just a really sharp dark sepia pencil, we're just going to put in the outline. Once you're happy with the shape, we can go in with the white pencil just to white out where we can see those little highlight sections. And then we're just going to go in and start to darken all of the darker areas with the black really lightly, and then start to saturate some of the blue tones with some of the sky blue, or even a light ultramarine would be fine. And then you can go in with the black and start to get a little bit darker. And then using the white pencil to do some of those little highlights and give it that smooth texture, making sure to resaturate the blues in there as you go. And then we're going to add in the next eye. Next, we can start to add in the fur around the eye and then just start to build on from here. So even though this is quite dark and black, I am putting a lot of browns and blues in there, also some of the purple. For this top section, I'm using the embossing tool just to do a couple of lines, keep them nice and white. And then when you're putting your fur down, you want to make sure that you're going in the direction of the fur. So paying attention to the reference photo where you can see the fur going around the face. So fur texture does take a long time to build up. It's best to go down with really light layers so that you can get a lot of layers down. This is what's going to make it look realistic and make it look nice and thick. Going in with really hard pressure and not many colors or layers can make it look flat, and with realism, what we want to do is make it look as sort of 3D and realistic as possible. So making sure you have multiple layers, building up your layers really lightly helps to get this effect. And so because I'm right-handed, I usually start by completing the eyes and then go in with the fur or the piece just above the top left of the portrait, and then move around to the right and then go down, just so that you're preventing your hand from smudging on the page over your completed work. So I went through and completed some of the fur on the head, on the left hand side, put in the left hand ear, then the right hand ear, and then continued down the right hand side of the head. So this is where we're at with the raccoon. Still quite a bit to go, making some good progress. Just had a look outside, and there is, you can't really see it from here, but on the left is a little bit of blue sky, so might just take the dogs for a quick walk and then we can get back to it. You guys like to go to the park? You want to go to the park? I think that means yes. So now that we've had a bit of a break, we can crack on and start to get the nose in. So we do the same sort of process as when we do the eyes, so doing the outline with the black, going in with some really light base layers, and then starting to build up some of the colours. So I'm still using the sky blue and some of the violet, and then you continue to get darker with the dark sepia and the black, making sure to pay attention to where you can see the highlight sections and leaving those really nice and white. Going back over to resaturate with the black, and then you can go through with a really sharp black pencil to put in all of those really little details on the top. So you're just doing like little semicircles and circles to make this sort of texture. So next it's time to put in the whiskers, and this can be really daunting as using the embossing tool is new to some people. So I do recommend just having a practice on another bit of paper before you get started on your actual piece. But the best way that I found to do it is just to erase one whisker at a time and put that in so you're not getting lost and you're following the reference photo pretty accurately. No one's going to know if there's one whisker out of place. It's not a big deal if you don't sort of get them in the right place, but you just want to make sure that's one continuous line and you always have a curve to it. So there are no straight lines in nature, so make sure to make a curve in your whiskers. And then once you go in with your pencil, you just need to go in with really light layers. It's best to hold your pencil on the side and pretty far back from the tip of the pencil, just so you have less pressure on the pencil, so you're not getting any of that into the lines. Then it's just a matter of really gently building up the layers and eventually you can start to get a lot darker and more purposeful, but making sure to go around these lines. So using a sharp pencil and just being really careful not to go into the lines. So for me, the most difficult part of this piece was doing this fur underneath the chin. Completing all of this black and white sort of mismatched fur everywhere is very difficult with colour pencils, and it does take a lot of practice, it does take a lot of time. I did go through and use the embossing tool to put some lines in just to help with the texture and the thickness, and then just working up from light to dark with really light layers to get all of this fur in. So there's an issue with the raccoon, and that is just that because I've made the ear a little bit higher, it's just gonna cut off a little bit. So I decided to make it A4. This is just an A4 bit of paper just to show you. So that's sort of the bottom, and it's either gonna cut off a little bit of the ear, or you know, it will cut off a little bit of the bottom depending where the frame will go. The other issue is the reference photo only comes to here. So I feel like if we just continue this on, he'll look like a sausage dog sort of raccoon. So I think what I'll do is just go here and then just start to, you know, blend it down so it shows like it's kind of the back of it. Because if I just continue it along here, I think it'll look like just like a log of raccoon. So I've taped all 3 sides so far. And we'll do the back section now, and then just take a look at how we feel about doing the background depending how it looks. When it's framed, it's either going to cut off a bit of the top of the ear, or we're going to cut off, you know, a bit of the bottom bit, which, you know, it's not a big deal, but let's get started. Although this back section is quite dark, there are some lighter sections coming through, so we need to put down a nice base layer for these lighter sections. I'm using some of the Cold Grey 4, blending in some of the yellows, oranges and blues, and then starting to get darker with the dark sepia. To complete this section, I'm doing fur strokes and shading in the darker sections. So I'm focusing on the shading and the fur strokes really close together, but where it's lighter, I'm spacing these fur strokes out so that you can let some of that light come through. As you get to the top of the piece, it's a lot lighter, so we're doing a lot less fur strokes and shading. The colour pencil solvent I'm using is called Zest It. I just dip my brush into the liquid, brush it off on the side, and then very lightly blend over the pencil. You need to make sure you have a lot of layers down before you go through with the solvent, so make sure to have it pretty saturated. And then once we wait for that to dry, we can go through with more layers of the colour pencil. And then finally, it's time to take off the tape. I really hope that you liked this video, guys. Remember to like and subscribe. Check me out on Patreon if you would like to complete this yourself, or check out my website for all of my tutorials available. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see next, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.